The very first chapter in Case I'm Murdered, What You Should Know About Stalking, Domestic Violence, Sexual Abuse, and How to Stay Safe, is about intuition. The reason that it's the first chapter is that I believe it's foundational. Everything else about safety is built on intuition, which is your internal warning system that lets you know when something is dangerous to you. Today we're going to look at a different book, one that was extremely influential in my life, called The Gift of Fear by author Gavin De Becker. This book was probably the first book that I bought when I felt like my life was in danger that really was meaningful to me, and I have read it over and over and over again. This book is based on your intuition. Your internal warning system is your best defense. And that's why this book is still as relevant today as it was 20 years ago, and why I am proud and happy and excited to present it to you.
Powerful. Your things are as powerful.
If you're new here, welcome. My name's April Hardy, and if you're not new, welcome back. On this channel, we talk about all things domestic violence, including how to break free from it and how to thrive after it. This week, we started out looking for a way to answer the question, can you predict violence? That was something that somebody had asked, and we wanted to answer it. People have different viewpoints on that, like everything else. But it led me back to this book that I wanted to show you guys. I know that I haven't done a book review here in a little while, and I'm honestly running low on books about domestic violence or violence in general that I really would encourage people to read. But this is one of them. This is one of the ones that has been core for me in my journey. It's called The Gift of Fear and Other Survival Signals That Protect Us from Violence, written by Gavin De Becker, who is known as an expert in predicting violent behavior. When I started my journey of self-defense related books, when I was afraid that my life was in danger in the first place, there were definitely books that said that they would be helpful that I didn't even finish. Some of them I barely even started because I already could tell this is not helpful. This is not going to help me, or it's not practical, or it's not true to life. There was different things, but this book, I 100% believe could save your life because it addresses both criminal strategies to some extent and indications or warning signs inside of you that lets you know you're in the presence of danger. True fear is a gift. Unwarranted fear is a curse. Learn how to tell the difference. A date won't take no for an answer. The new nanny gives a mother an uneasy feeling. A stranger in a deserted parking lot offers unsolicited help. The threat of violence surrounds us every day, but we can protect ourselves by learning to trust and act on our gut instincts. In this empowering book, Gavin De Becker, the man Oprah Winfrey calls the nation's leading expert on violent behavior, shows you how to spot even subtle signs of danger before it's too late. Shattering the myth that most violent acts are unpredictable, De Becker, whose clients include top Hollywood stars and government agencies, offers specific ways to protect yourself and those you love, including how to act when approached by a stranger, when you should fear someone close to you, what to do if you're being stalked, how to uncover the source of anonymous threats or phone calls, the biggest mistake you can make with a threatening person, and more. Learn how to spot the danger signals others miss. It might just save your life. And on the front of the book, it says, this book can save your life. I want to look at 7 strategies that criminals or predators will use to try to gain access to you that De Becker lays out in his book. Number 1, forced teaming. 2, charm and niceness. 3, too many details. 4, typecasting. 5, loan sharking. 6, unsolicited promises. And 7, discounting no. Forced teaming is a term I've never heard of before this book, and I actually haven't heard of it really outside of the book, I don't think. But it's basically when somebody comes along and you're not a partnership of any kind, but they make it seem like a partnership. In the book, he told a story of a woman who ended up being attacked in her apartment. And it started with she had groceries that fell out of her bag, and this guy offered to pick them up. Picked them up, gave them to her. One of them was cat food. And he wanted to help her get her groceries into her house. And the thing that he said was, we've got a hungry cat in there. They did not have a cat. She had a cat. He was a complete stranger, but he made it seem like they were in it together. They're now on this mission to get the groceries inside to take care of this cat that he didn't actually have any stock in. That was forced teaming. 2, charm and niceness. Remember that niceness does not equal goodness. That was something that he said in this section, and that was something that I told my children. And I've told them more than once. Like, I've ingrained it into their minds, and I've tried to ingrain it into my mind, because sometimes it's easy to forget. Just because somebody is nice does not mean that they're good. In fact, a lot of people that aren't good are really good at looking good and acting good, playing a role. And so in this section, he talked about how charm is actually a manipulation tactic. It's not actually a good thing at all. When somebody is putting on the charm or trying to charm you, they are in effect trying to manipulate you into feeling good about them for some reason. I believe that he recommended to readers that you ask yourself, what is it that they are wanting me to not pay attention to? And that's why they're making me focus on this instead. This charmingness, this appealing, whatever the case may be. What is it that they're trying to change my focus away from so that they look better? That would be a really smart way to respond to that. The third tactic is too many details. One easy way to tell when somebody is lying is that they will often give too many details. And the reason they give too many details is because they know they're lying, and so they feel like they have to defend it. So they will give you information that you never asked for and that you didn't even need to believe them, in fact, because it's an overcompensation that people do naturally when they're lying. So, too many details. Your response for that should be, think about the context. Would a stranger share these details with me? Would they need to? Why would I need to know that? His recommended response was to think about it in context. Would a stranger share these details with me? I don't know about you guys, but strangers tell me a lot of details, because I'm that type of personality and people just feel comfortable telling me their whole life stories, and I enjoy that. But that wouldn't be a good indicator for me. For me, it would be more like, how much of this is relevant? Like, if they're telling me this is going on right now, and then this and this and this and this, and all involvement that I have is just right here, why do I need to know about all this other stuff relative to what's going on right now? And that's different from them telling me about their past, right? Them telling me about their life story and all these different things that happen. That's totally different from telling me all these details about right now or in the future that are irrelevant to me. Typecasting, they make a criticism that can be disproved by doing what they want. This is so manipulative, and I have experienced this so many times. They're accusing you of something, and the only way for you to prove them wrong is to do exactly what they wanted you to do in the first place. It's a trap. So, like, somebody offers to help you, and you tell them, no, that's okay, I don't need your help. And then they might insult you by saying, I mean, come on, are you proud or are you just self-righteous? Because otherwise, you would let me help you. It's not a big thing. It's okay for a strong woman to accept help. You don't gotta be a snooty biatch. Whatever they want to put in there. But the point is that in order to prove them wrong, you're gonna do what they want you to do. It's a trap. De Becker suggests that your response for typecasting is just silence, because anything else that you say is either going to prove what they're accusing you of, or it's going to be what they want. So he says just don't respond at all. Just be quiet. So the next thing is loan sharking. Loan sharking is when they do something for you so that you feel obligated to do something nice for them back. For loan sharking, the response is if somebody helps you, you don't owe them anything, or you don't let them help you in the first place. I used to have big problems with this, Not the loan sharking itself, but because I had so much experience with people only being nice to me so that they could get something in return. And usually it was something nefarious and something that was going to harm me. That when I started trying to build out of this place, this pit of abuse and violence, I had a really hard time accepting kindness from other people because I assumed that they all were going to want something in return because this particular thing had been used against me so much. And I don't think that I'm the only one. So there's a difference. You can learn who is trustworthy and who is just using this tactic of loan sharking. And if somebody helps you, you don't owe them anything. There's this natural feeling inclination that you ought to repay them, but you don't have to. And anybody that is doing something kind or good for you out of the kindness of their heart for the right reasons isn't going to expect anything back from you anyway. If you happen to do something nice for them in the future, cool. If you happen to pay it forward and do something nice for somebody else, cool. But the only person that's going to be offended if you don't return the favor is somebody who didn't have they weren't in the right mind or the right heart at the time that they gave you something anyway. Number 6 is unsolicited promises. They will promise you things that you didn't ask for. The scenario that comes to my mind from the book was a situation in which this guy had broken into a woman's house and he was going to rape her. And he promised her that he wasn't going to kill her. He was just going to rape her and then he was going to leave. But she hadn't asked, and there was no reason for him to promise her that. And in this situation, he was doing things that suggested to her that her life was in danger at the same time that he was telling her that her life wasn't in danger. That would be this unsolicited promises. He didn't actually mean it. He was just throwing it out there as a means of control, because if he could make her believe that her life wasn't in danger, then she might cooperate more with the abuse, the rape first, and that would make his job easier, and then he would kill her later. So are they promising you things that they don't even need to be promising you? And the response that Gavin De Becker suggests for the unsolicited promises is skepticism. Be asking yourself, why would they promise me that? Why are they saying that? Are their intentions good? And then number 7 is discounting your no. When you say no, does the person respect it and listen, or do they discount it? Do they push past it anyway? Do they try to minimize it? Do they laugh about it and act like you're just joking? Or you're only saying no because you're a female and they're supposed to say no, but you don't really mean no. Anything that's discounting it, that's not just respecting it and stopping, is discounting your no. And De Becker suggests that for that you say, I said no. And you just reiterate, maybe with a lot more power and intensity, look, back off, or we're gonna have issues. I said no. I mean no. That's it. There are so many things that he talks about in this book that we're definitely not going to cover all of them in this review. And not all of them are relevant to domestic violence or to intimate partner violence or violence against women, any of those things. He also spends a good amount of time talking about like disgruntled employees, for example. That's not something that you need to deal with, probably. It's not bad information to have and to know, but you could also skip that part of the book because it's not relevant necessarily to what we're talking about here. Let's do a couple of quotes from the book. Intuition is always right in at least 2 important ways. It's a response to something, and it always has your best interest at heart. Your intuition is always a response to something. There's some stimuli, whether you're aware of it or not, that is igniting your intuition. And your intuition always has your best interest at heart. The brain, it is built to keep you safe. So it will not allow you naturally to do things that are out of your comfort zone, even when they're good things for you. It's a fight. It's a fight to get yourself to go to the gym consistently at first. It's a fight sometimes to start a new job or a new business. Anything that is new and different and scary, your brain naturally will go against because of this self-preservation thing is so strong. And likewise, When things are dangerous, your brain will let you know, your intuition will let you know, I picked up on this cue or that cue, and you may not even know what these cues are, but it doesn't matter because I picked up on it, and you're in danger, and we're going to move this direction, or we're going to stop doing this, or that guy's scary, or whatever it's telling you. But it's always with your safety in mind that it's having these reactions. Another good quote from him, he says, "No is a word that must never be negotiated because the person who chooses not to hear it is trying to control you." I'm going to say that again because it's so important. The person that you say no to, who is trying not to hear your no, is trying to control you in some way. They're not interested in what you want, think, or believe. They're interested in getting what they want. Period. Another quote from Mr. De Becker, "Niceness is a decision, a strategy of social interaction. It is not a character trait." And that could be considered really cynical, but considering all the stuff that he is talking about in this book, cynicism isn't a terrible idea. It's just looking a little bit closer to people's motives. Is this person being nice because they want to be nice, because out of the kindness of their hearts they want to be nice? Or are they being nice because they want you to think they're nice? Are they being nice because they want something from you? Is the something that they want from you just that you think that they're a nice and good person and they want everybody to like them? Or is it something bigger, more sinister? Stuff to think about, instead of just accepting that, oh, this person is nice and therefore that means they're good. Because it doesn't. Ted Bundy was a serial killer who was nice and attractive. And that's the reason a lot of women died. Nice, attractive, and intelligent enough to use it to his advantage. One of them is dealing with persistent unwanted attention. He recommends that you ignore it, don't engage. If you engage in any way, it is a response, and they're looking for a response from you. So they get talked about people that were in essence stalking and just harassing. Harassing is probably a better word, just hounding people. And the natural response is to get pissed off and to let them know that you're pissed off. And he says that's not a good plan. Any response that you give is kind of feeding that monster. So the best option is to not say anything and let your silence be a response. Your silence is a response. Likewise, if you're dealing with a stalker or an unwanted suitor, no is a complete sentence. He says, tell him no, don't negotiate, don't explain. He says you could even say, I don't want to be in a relationship, and then stop talking. But you could just say no and stop talking and leave it at that, because any other things, depending on the person, they might go places with it. I don't want to be in a relationship right now. They hear right now, you're a great guy, but I'm just not the right person for you. They hear you think they're great and they just need to convince you that you're good together. No. That's it. And then no more response if you don't want this person in your life. When dealing with stalkers that want to kill you, he suggests limiting the likelihood of an unwanted encounter and take reasonable precautions. And those precautions we've talked about in other videos, but things like security systems for your house, or video cameras, or weapons, or dogs, or locking all of your windows and doors and keeping them locked whether you're there or not. Protection orders, if you believe that that is going to actually be helpful. Letting other people know that you're afraid. There are lots of different things that you can do that are precautions. And then limiting their access to you, which could be things like changing your routes to work, school, whatever, every day, not going for walks or walking the dog and things like that in that type of situation. Maybe not even keeping the same job that you had before, or keeping your kids in the same school that you had before. If those things are things that they know they can catch you in this situation or that situation, that might be something that you have to change. That's limiting their access and limiting their ability to act on a murder situation. And then he recommends when you're leaving an abusive relationship, take actions to make you immediately unavailable to the pursuer. That's the point of like emergency shelters, hidden shelters for domestic violence victims. They will harm you oftentimes if they can get to you. So that's why I have recommended before, and I will continue to recommend from now until forever, if you're leaving a domestic violence situation, don't go to family or friend's house that your abuser knows and knows where lives, because then you're still in danger and you're endangering them too. Either go to somebody's house they don't know where they live, or go to a hidden shelter, an abuse shelter, where there are precautions in place and safety systems in place for situations like that. This one from, I believe it's Traver. I may be reading that wrong, so I apologize if I am. Traver Boehm, I think. Says the gift of fear is more than a page turner, more than a standard guide to self-defense. It's a journey into the world of threat assessment and analysis through the eyes of someone who has lived and breathed nothing but for over 30 years. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. It has been given to every woman of significance in my life, and I continue to give copies out regularly. Read it, pass it on. Doing so is bound to save somebody's life. I would agree. That's why I'm recommending this book to you. That's all for me today. Until I see you again, stay safe and get the book. Thanks for watching. I'll do my part to keep you safe by continuing to put out weekly videos about all things related to intimate partner violence. If you haven't already, please do your part by subscribing to this channel and hitting the notification button so that you don't miss a single video. Bonus points if you share videos with people that you believe will benefit from the information. Until I see you again, stay safe. I was looking at some of the reviews for this book on Amazon, and there was one that talked about how irritated they were, and they give it a bad review because it was written in like 1998, I believe, and it hadn't been updated. And I get that. I mean, like in principle, I get that. I understand that he could add a chapter or maybe even do a new book on danger as far as the internet goes and stuff like that, but this book is based on your intuition, your internal warning system. And the thing is that doesn't need to be updated. It is literally the same internal warning system that was there 20 years ago. Your internal warning system is your best defense. And that's why this book is still as relevant today as it was 20 years ago, and why I am proud and happy and excited to present it to you.